JK Russ, and the J stands for Joanne. Originally from Nelson, I've also lived a lot of time in Masterton, Palmerston North, Wellington, Auckland, Whanganui, and the last 10 years here in Las Vegas in the United States. So my work has probably changed a little bit since coming here. When I was in New Zealand, I was very much working with found big prints, the kind of ones that you find in secondhand stores. I like working with recycled materials, magazines and books. These ones you can see behind me are the kind of books that I find here that obviously they've been very educational and useful for people at one time, but then for whatever reason they don't need them anymore. So I like the fact that recycling these materials means that I'm giving them another life. The natural environment is something that has been a long theme in my work, and being very concerned, I think, as most of us are, with what's been happening across the world with climate change and a lot of animals becoming extinct. These kind of issues are addressed in the Hard Sell Future collage, which I started making about a year ago. And then, of course, there's been a lot of other very serious global issues since then. So I was already feeling, a little doom and gloom about the future. However, the next collage I make, I'm really wanting to focus on an alternative version, where we can potentially go from here. That is a more positive direction. So this is where I think the Indigenous cultures really around the world are leading the way. Māori culture in Aotearoa, obviously, with protecting water and the land and that connection. I think we can all learn, Pākehā can learn a lot, definitely. And, I think it's over past time that we started making some serious changes. So that's what a lot of the work is about. Working with materials. So yeah, the books behind me, often magazines as well. I collect National Geographics, I find are great, but all sorts of magazines. And then of course I have to try and organize them. And sometimes I spend a lot of time cutting things out that I don't use immediately. Some of these here are cut out, some of them are just images that I've saved and labeled. So I'm finding that these kind of clear bags are really good with different kind of themes. So if I'm looking for birds, I've kind of got all of those in one area, and flowers and plants and things like that. So I try to be as organized as I can. Don't always succeed, but I'm working old style cut and paste. So of course a lot of work is being done digitally, via computer these days, and I do a little bit of that as well. But usually I'm starting, with the actual sorting through the resources, looking for what I can find that I can work with, using the scissors and cutting things out, and then, just kind of gluing, pasting, and I like this way of working because, for one thing, it's archival, it lasts, and also because I can make everything as smooth as possible, which is another challenge, working with collage. A lot of time, I think, is spent for me just playing around with the positioning of things until I'm happy with them. So that is probably 75% of making a work for me. And then the final part, of course, is you know, pasting it down, sometimes painting backgrounds. So sometimes I'll work all collage, and sometimes including paint, spray paint sometimes, to get that kind of, I love the skies, you know, the kind of sunsets where you get that pink to blue kind of transition. So that appears in some of my work. Probably in the last 4 or 5 years or more, I've started using torn paper more. So just to give you an example, here's some torn sections of various colours for sky that I would use. So then of course a lot of time is spent just kind of graduating the colours and the shapes of the paper. But you know, these processes I really enjoy as well, just taking the time to sit and, you know, tear these pieces of paper. It's almost a quite calming, meditative thing to do. So whether or not you see yourself as an artist, I think there's creative practices that are good for all of us to do. So just to give you a little rundown of what I do just to start ideas happening sometimes, and you know, when I'm looking to start a project, I always spend a lot of time looking at works by other artists, because personally I think it's good to have a very broad view of what else is going on, so that, you know, we're not in our own little kind of vacuum. And I don't think this necessarily means that what we're doing is going to look exactly like what somebody else is doing, but it's great to, I think, you know, look at who the artists are that are doing things that interest you, and to think about what it is about their work particularly that interests you, and how you might incorporate whether it's ideas, whether it's the overall kind of style or ambience feel of the work. And I've always actually, well, for quite a number of years, kept a journal. So when I do see art that I like, or, you know, maybe not always art, other things like, you know, fashion, I'll cut things out and, you know, put them in my journal just to have there as inspiration. And I use my journal as well for making notes, things that I'm thinking of doing. This is actually a very rough sketch of the 3-panel hard sell future collage. So back when I was looking at just the basic structure of it, and you know, how the kind of shading of the colors and everything was going to work, I just, you know, tried out a little sketch. So, you know, this is where I find having a journal can really help kind of process thoughts and give you somewhere to just try things out. Drawing is another great thing to do. And again, you know, we don't have to be amazing drawers. I think it's good just to, again, practice and get in the habit of looking around us at what interests us in our immediate environment. You know, what can we choose to focus on and sketch. And, you know, sometimes just getting the habit. For a while I was doing a drawing a day, and it really helped me look, you know, I think closely at things as I was drawing them, and also to think about, you know, what is it that really interests me. So behind me, you'll probably recognize some of the bird figures that are in the Desert Bird Life soiree installation piece that's in the Tauranga Art Gallery. And this is a digital vinyl piece here in the studio. And what I'd like to mention with this too, for me, part of the enjoyment is being almost like, you know, part of an artwork. And I really hope that visitors to the gallery will take some photographs of themselves or each other, kind of almost, you know, in front of but part of that installation, because I would really love to see any photos posted online. And this is part of a kind of multi-panel piece that a lot of people contributed to this. So I kind of started off with the bird figures, the kind of horizon line there with the mountains, and then people who came into the space over the few weeks that I spent there, they all contributed to, you know, tearing up these pieces of sky and the rock and pasting them on windows. So it was reverse glass collage. It was quite a process, and there was a lot of energy from a lot of people that went into the piece. So I just really wanted to show you that, just to give you an idea here as well of the workspace. As you can see, there's lots of pieces that are cut out and waiting for me to spend some more time organising them. Some of these are kind of works in progress, like this little vase of flowers here. I was using this in a workshop recently just to kind of demonstrate the surrealism aspects that you can incorporate into collage, one of the things I always enjoy about it. And then there's another work here, the ice warning work. So this is a 3-part work, and that's waiting to be framed up. And in the middle there is actually a couple of the album covers. So you can see there's one I'm about to start working on shortly from the 60s, and there's one that's a completed Choose the Singer, and I've kind of turned her into an underwater singer creature. So thank you for taking the time to have a look around the studio, and I hope you enjoy the exhibition.